All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick lesson. And for today's lesson, I saw a quick clip on YouTube, and it really inspired this topic for the lesson. And it says, who are these people in the land? Right? So first I want to play the clip so you brothers and sisters can see, just to get some context. And I want to bring a couple precepts and bring an account. And Lord's will is always, hopefully, Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh willing, that this may be an edifying lesson. Right? So let's go to the clip first.
Many of you have been seeing the news and know that Israel has been expected to be attacked by Iran within the next 24 to 48 hours. We need your prayer right now. Please pray that God will protect His people. My name is Elisha, and I serve with the Jews for Jesus ministry. I've been drafted in to protect Israel from incoming attacks. Please pray that Jews for Jesus' team here in Israel will be able to bring forward the gospel in the best possible way. Amen.
Okay, so you hear this guy's message. He's saying, he's encouraging, the people who are non quote unquote Israelites to pray for, because they think they are the people, right? I'm just putting that in quotations. They are encouraging, these other nations for their prayers. So they want their prayers to pray for essentially their salvation, their safety, protect them, protect, since they think they're the people, right? So, my question is, if you really were the people, why do you need the prayers of other nations to pray for your behalf and your safety, to deliver you from your tribulation? Why do you need our prayers? Because they think they're us, right? Why do you need the prayers of the other nations, right? And when you look throughout the scriptures, for example, there are like plethora of different examples of different forefathers of our people, crying unto the Lord, when they were in a particular time of trouble, when they were in a distressful situation. They didn't require, oh, um, oh, Goliath, I need. There's no account of, for example, David going to Goliath. Hey, Goliath, I need you to pray for me so you can, I can get rescued from this particular situation. That's not the case. The Lord, our forefathers had an understanding of actually, when they were in a distress, when they were in a distressful situation, they cried unto the Lord, so the Lord can deliver them out of the situations that they were in. And that is something that we still do to this day, because we are those people. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, you speckled-bird Israelites that look like the other nations, but you go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, one of the 12 sons of Jacob. We are the Most High Yahweh Bashem Shai's chosen people, not these people. Why do you need the prayers of other nations? And that's the point I really wanted to get to, right? That's one of the points I wanted to bring out, because that just exposes that you people are not the people. Okay, so what I'll do, let me go back to my lesson plan. Just bear with me 1 second. So just to back up that point, I wanted to get Judges. Okay, so this is Judges chapter 6. I want to read a little bit of it and then jump around, and then I want to make another point as well. So this is Judges chapter 6, verse 1. It says, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, and the Lord Yahweh delivered them into the hands of Midian 7 years. Okay, so I want to jump down to verse 6. Excuse me. And it says, and Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord Yahweh. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord Yahweh because of the Midianites. So essentially, they were being plundered, and the Midianites had taken over. And essentially, what happens is the Most High, he raises up a judge to rescue them from their situation, because Israel was essentially was going off. They were transgressing against the Heavenly Father and doing things that they were not supposed to do. So it says, so I'll read verse 7 and again. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord Yahweh because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all that oppress you, and drave them out before you, and gave you their land. Verse 10, I said unto you, I am the Lord Yahweh, your power. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but ye did not obey my voice. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abizarite, and his son Gideon, and threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. So essentially, the Lord raised up this particular judge named Gideon, and Gideon, essentially, he to rescue the children of Israel essentially to rescue them from this particular situation, right? Okay, and it says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt, right? And even the other nations had this understanding, like when they, back in the account of Joshua, because they heard about the things that the Lord had did for us, right? They heard about those particular miracles, right? When they encountered Rahab the harlot. And the reason I'm bringing out this account, I'm bringing out and speaking of these things, because the children of Israel, the Israelites, always, when they were in a distressful situation, they cried unto the Lord. When, for another example, was King Hezekiah, when what's his name? I think it was King Sennacherib, if I'm not mistaken, and from the Assyrians. And when he was coming up against King Hezekiah, what King Hezekiah did at that time, he went into the temple and he actually prayed, right? And then an angel smote his entire army, right? So that our people had an understanding that, okay, when we prayed unto the Lord, when we cried unto the Lord came through to our rescue, right? And that's why I find it very, very interesting. So, like, okay, who are you people? You people are not even doing that. Why do you need prayers from the other nations when shouldn't you cry unto your power? And this goes to show that these people are not the people. Let's get okay, Baruch 2 verse 13, it says, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. Verse 31, it says, and shall know that I am the Lord their power, and I will give them a heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, right? So the real Israelites, they would be in a position of bondage, oppression, tribulation. They would be at the lowest of the low, where they would be in a situation where they would be crying unto the Lord. They wouldn't be in this holy land, in what they call the Holy Land today. They wouldn't be in that particular position. they would be, at the lowest of the low, because pursuant to the one of the curses, which I'll get right now actually, as a people, as a nation of people, we actually got scattered. We didn't actually, um, ever since the trotting down of, I think it says that in Luke 21, where we were trodden down of the Gentiles. Ever since that time in 70 AD, there was a huge scattering, and we haven't been back in that land ever since, right? So Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, and it says, "The Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." So we'll be in a specific, we'll be in captivity even to this day, and also we'll be subject to payments, like it says in Baruch chapter 3, right? So, who are these people? That's the point I'm really trying to get at, because these people just keep doing these particular things and keep telling on themselves with, making them think that they are the people, but they're not, right? I found this quick excerpt I also wanted to share as well. I have this book here essentially in my hands right now, and I just want to read a little bit of it. So just bear with me one second. Let me just find a quick excerpt. I'm going to read it. Okay, so this is... Okay, so the book I have here is called $1 Trillion Conspiracy by Jim Marrs. And so this is page 59. Okay, so this is page 59, and it says, I'm going to read the last paragraph. It says, "The 1917 Balfour Declaration, a statement by the British Foreign Secretary Alfred Balfour that guaranteed a Jewish home in Palestine, and was later approved as a mandate by the League of Nations, is acknowledged as the foundation for the creation of the State of Israel." Right? This letter originally was a reply to a leading Zionist, Baron Walter Rothschild, the first unconverted Jewish peer in England's House of Lords. The money management methods of the Rothschild banking dynasty have emulated for decades by the global financiers, whether Jewish or otherwise. Another key component of this manage is secrecy, utilizing where it says bought off politicians who catch the public rage and scrutiny. Major globalists are able to operate out of the public eye almost with impunity. Derek Wilson, who chronicled the Rothschild empire in his 1988 book, Rothschild, The Wealth and Power of a Dynasty, wrote, so this is a quote, it says, "Even in later years, some of them," speaking of the Rothschilds, "entered parliament. They did not feature prominently in assembly chambers in London, Paris, and Berlin. Yet all the while they were helping to shape the major events of the day by the granting or withholding funds, by providing statesmen with an official diplomatic service, by influencing appointments into high office, and by an almost daily intercourse with the great decision makers." Right, so I'll stop right there. Right, so these people are these people are a bunch of converts. That's really what I really wanted to bring out, and they appointed that land unto themselves. Right, so let me get verse 48, because it clearly said that they sat in, essentially they didn't sit as somebody who would be like on a how would you describe that? They didn't sit as if they were on a major face, kind of like, when you watch, um I guess, legislation in your various different countries. You would see people discussing particular matters. They were kind of in the background. They're kind of, they will kind of be they'll be still there, but they'll be in secret. So there'll be different, so you have these different Rothschilds, for example, these different members and different members of parliament. So they will be they wouldn't participate in parliament, but they would be, their presence would be there. So they will be essentially controlling the funds of what actually was, what gets passed, some of the bills and the legislations and that would get passed, and they would not, they would withhold money. Okay, we don't want this being passed. Oh, that's in our interest. Let's pass this, if that makes sense. Right? So Deuteronomy 28 verse 48, and it says, "And thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and want of all things." So we will be, the real Israelites would be in a situation where they'll be going to other nations for those things. We wouldn't have control over these particular industries. We wouldn't have control over the banks, having lending power and so on and so forth, being able to, lend money. We wouldn't be in that, control of the resources. We wouldn't have, even in our respective nations. Like, for example, like I'm from the Caribbean islands, and in something that is common within the Caribbean islands, you so-called Jamaicans, um, you Puerto Ricans, your Dominicans, your Haitians, so on and so forth, as all your other tribes as a whole. But I'm just using the Caribbean as an example. One of the things that's very, very common in the Caribbean is the fact that a lot of these countries, in our respective countries, where nations, you have other nations controlling the resources, controlling those particular resources in, in the respective nations. So you have the so-called white people, you have the so-called Chinese, you have the so-called, not so-called, I should say, South Asian Indian people. That was something also I noticed. Like, for example, a good example of this would be, for example, in Guyana. You have a country, Guyana has rich reserves of oil. Now, and I think they were also in Venezuela as well. There's also oil and also in Venezuela as well. But the point is, in Guyana, for example, they have had tussles back and forth with a company known as Exxon Mobil, right? And these particular not countries, these particular companies, they prey on the resources and they control a lot of the resources in your respective nations. China has major, major investments in your respective tribes, where you tribes are situated today, right? You have so much resources and natural resources, so on for so forth, to make your country prosper. But pursuant to the curses that were put on us because of our disobedience, we would not have control over these particular resources. Now, there's another resource in, I think it's in Jamaica. It's called bauxite. Let me just look it up quickly because I forgot what it was. um, okay. Okay, here it says bauxite refineries produce aluminum oxide, which is used to create aluminum metal. Bauxite is also used to manufacture other industrial products such as abrasives, cement, and other chemicals. These two operating bauxite refineries in the United States, both which are located in Louisiana, right? So, okay, so it's a sediment. Okay, so bauxite is a sedimentary rock with relatively high aluminum content. So I guess it's using to make aluminum, and this is something that is commonly found in Jamaica. Okay, so here's what the rock actually looks like, right? So Jamaica, so Jamaica has a rich, um, what's it called, resource of this particular resource, right? And this is just one example. There's many other examples of our, different Caribbean islands essentially have different resources, right? But just going back and proving the point that this was a curse that was placed on us, and the Chinese actually have a hand in controlling this, right? I know there's a highway as well in Jamaica, located in Jamaica, where they actually have, it left Jamaica in so much debt, right? So we would go to the nations for the want of all things. Especially another example is in because normally in the Caribbean we get hit with lots of hurricanes, and then who comes to our aid? It's the so-called Chinese. So we will go to these other nations for the want of all things. We'll go to the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, all these different resources, all these different lenders, and then essentially what we'd have to do is to borrow from them, and these are curses that fell upon us as a people, just proving the point that these people are not the people. Right? So okay, so just going back to one of the earlier points I made in regards to the excerpt I just read, and I guess I'll just close it off from there. Ezekiel 36:5, and it says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea," a Greek way of saying Edom, "which have appointed my land into their possession, which with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, cast it out for a prey." So these people, these so-called white people, these descendants of Esau, would appoint our land, the biblical Israelites' land, into their possession, right? And that's why that land is so defiled, right? Because you have the incorrect people there. Because when the real Israelites return there, there will be peace on earth. But ever since these people have entered into that land, ever since that so-called creation, known as the state of Israel today, ever since they arrived in that land, there has been war. There was a president back in, I don't know when he said this. So his name is Gabal Nasser. He was a former president of Egypt. Now he said there would never, ever, ever be peace in that land because the Jews left black and came back white. This is something that he said. I don't remember which year he said this, right? So this is something you can look up as well. And I guess I'll just close off, with this precept. Because these people don't actually uphold the law, statutes, and commandments. Habakkuk 2 verse 16, it says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall return unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And I brought this up because I was even having a conversation with my manager, and he even knew about this. He even knew that state, that so-called country in the so-called Middle East was a state that was created. It wasn't something that actually fulfills prophecy. But it fulfilled the prophecy I just read, because they would appoint that land into their possession, right? But there is no peace on earth because the biblical Israelites are currently not there. So I guess I'll just close it off here, but hopefully Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh willing, that this lesson was edifying, and I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Until next time, I say Shalom.